Hello, dear World of Warcraft friends. I've got some interesting news today. There's a feature that players have wanted for years. Well, I mean, ever since I started playing World of Warcraft, people have wanted this, at least to some extent. So for, let's say, 15 to 20 years. And supposedly they've now discovered hints on the PTR that this feature is actually coming to the game. What it's all about, we'll take a look at in this video, as well as how realistic the whole thing is. So definitely stay tuned, leave a like, subscribe. It costs nothing and is the best way to support me. We want to hit 38,000 so I can give you something in a giveaway. And yeah, with that, let's go. It's not about housing, but something similar, specifically guild halls. I have to say I'm relatively neutral about the whole thing. But ever since housing came to the live servers at the end of last year in both zones, plots where people are actively building but where players can't do anything. And you can see that here, for example. So there's a bit of construction stuff going on here, right? No one is really actively working right now, but something is being done there, just like here on the Horde's side. The same areas also exist on the Alliance side. And it's actually the case that in patch 12.1 these construction sites are progressing. So in other words, the way they look now on the live server will change with the new patch. There have been some developments. So for example, this is what it looks like on the Alliance property. This is what it looks like afterwards. So we can already see a few beams and some paths and a few little stones have been added. There are some people down here working on it, and everything has a bit more structure and shape, more beams, more stones, etc. So something is growing there. Ah. Accordingly, people have already asked about the guild halls from time to time. However, there was never a really clear answer from Blizzard as to whether something like that would come or not. So there is no official confirmation. But it was always things like, yeah, the concept is interesting. Well, let's see what comes in the future. And accordingly, yeah, I could really see that happening. We can see here too, there's a kind of worker from the neighborhood involved. Here again, where you can find the two properties. And what many players are now suspecting is that in the end, there will eventually be two properties where you can build a guild hall. On the Horde side, that would mean not just this part that's circled by the stones, but the whole thing would probably extend out back here. And then it would be a large guild hall, which would most likely also be instanced, but where you can meet up with guild members. Or you could build the whole thing up here. You can also see where you'd prefer to place it. In other words, there would be plots like with the housing plots, but here there would only be 2 instead of 50, which also makes sense, right? The other areas are already pretty full. That means you can't just fill up the whole neighborhood with possible plots, but for example, the guild master can choose where it will be built. And then in the end, you have a hall where you can work with your guild members, hang out, whatever. Personally, I think that's realistic because of all this. There must be some reason why these things keep getting built out. Honestly, I've never really paid attention to that before and just thought, yeah, it's just decoration or something. But, you know, these plots apparently serve some kind of purpose. So, I don't know why Blizzard would expand on that graphically and make it bigger if they didn't have something planned for it. In the end, it's of course also possible that something completely different will be put here. A horse racetrack or something like that. That was a joke. But, you know, it's all speculation. None of this is confirmed. And we'll just have to wait and see. But what I would also like to add is the fact that this could also be a good way to improve the guild browser and so on. With the new patch, so with 12.1, Blizzard is, for example, bringing a rework here for the friends interface and so on for all these social features. And accordingly, I don't know, maybe at some point there will be a new guild system where everything gets a visual overhaul, and to go along with that, there will be guild halls. What I personally would find really, really awesome is if guild halls come, if they bring back some things that we, for example, remember from Cataclysm. So back then, all the guild banks were expanded with more tabs. There were guild achievements, and you could invest in talents. Personally, I would find it really, really cool if something like that was brought back in some form. So just that it's a bit more worthwhile, maybe in some way, to be a member of a guild again. On the other hand, if the bonuses are too strong, there would probably be discussions again like, isn't that too strong? And I don't have a guild, so I would miss out on all of that. I could also imagine that the discussion would go in that direction. But if you ask me, it would be cool, because in my opinion, it would simply promote teamwork in World of Warcraft more. And it would also give you incentives again to engage with a guild and your fellow players. So let's see what comes out of it in the end. I'm definitely curious, and I think these rumors or speculations are quite possible. Especially since I never really noticed it before, but why would there be this staircase here if there wasn't going to be a big building here at some point? It's like that everywhere here. The stairs are already there, only the building is missing. That's why I really think something will be placed here, and it won't just be some ordinary little hut. Or in the end, it will just be an ordinary little hut, and we've all been completely wrong. What do you think? Feel free to write your opinion in the comments. Do you think a guild hall would be cool? Look, he's waving at me, hello. A local is waving at me, I'll wave back. Yeah, okay, never mind, just go then, bye. Yeah, feel free to write it in the comments. And with that, thanks for watching. See you in the next video, and take care.